Hey guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to my channel. So I thought we would do a fun little tag video today. I was recently watching Paulina from Paulina's Beauty. I was watching her channel and she did this tag and it's called the Makeup Romances tag. It was originally started by Lauren from Little Blushing Birdie, so I'll have both of their videos linked down below if you want to check them out. So the premise of this tag is basically there's a couple of different questions and it asks you about makeup in more of like a relationship type of status, like in a relationship with just friends, that kind of thing. And the way that Lauren answered her questions was makeup in general, but the way Paulina did it was based on like just eyeshadow palettes only. I think she might have actually done that kind of, that's what Katie Marie did. So I'll link Katie's video down too. But I kind of feel like I will go more that route because eyeshadow palettes seem to be my true love anyways. So I figure I'll stick with answering all these questions with the eyeshadow palettes. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the first question. So question number one is the one that you're in a committed relationship with. And this is probably the only one where I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit because it's not just an eyeshadow palette. And if you've been watching my channel at all, you shouldn't be surprised to see this here. But it's not just this, it's the highlighters too. That is what I'm in a committed relationship with. I am obsessed with the Collective Cosmetics highlighter formula. So you guys, every time you watch my video, it's almost like 9 times out of 10, I am dipping into this Moon Twin palette from Collective Cosmetics and grabbing one of their highlighter shades to kind of really amp up the inner corner of my look. But they also have, you know, regular single highlighters as well that I'm obsessed with. I absolutely love their highlighter formula. It's so shiny and sparkly and I'm in love. So yes, I am in a committed relationship with the Collective Cosmetics highlighter formula. Don't get me wrong, I love their eyeshadows too, but I'm obsessed with their highlighters. Question number two is the one that you're still in the honeymoon phase with. And that is this beautiful little palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. This is the Courtship palette. It's their newest one that they just released and it's a little mini palette. I am obsessed with this palette. Like, this is the perfect palette to wear if I just want to throw together a really simple look. You know, not a lot of people at my office wear makeup, and if they do, it's very minimal makeup, more like the eye makeup is maybe mascara and liner. So, you know, the colorful makeup looks get a little side eye if I ever show up to work with one of those, so I don't do it very often. But something like this is super beautiful, and I think it's very perfect for every day, but still kind of fun. I love the peachy tones. I love this color. It's literally so gorgeous. So yes, I love this little palette. I'm definitely in the honeymoon phase with it right now, but I love the Menagerie formula. They have one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas, so this is definitely a new favorite right now. Question number three is the one you friend zoned. So basically it's like one that you used to really be in a relationship with, you used to really dig, and now you're kind of like, okay, we're better off as just friends. And for me, that would be this guy, the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I really loved this palette when I first got it. I think it was my first Morphe palette purchase. And of course I'm a big Jaclyn Hill fan, so that's part of the reason why I bought it. I really wanted her palette. And I did use it a good bit when it first came out. I loved, you know, like the beautiful kind of neutral shades. I love these pretty colors down here. I used it like when I did makeup on a friend of mine and on my sister, and you know, so it's like I used it a lot. And then once I really started getting into embracing the whole colorful makeup thing and embracing like the indie brand life, which is kind of what I'm just head over heels with right now. Once I got really into that, this guy didn't really interest me much anymore. And quite frankly, I don't ever want to use it. Like there's even been a couple of times like with Annette or with Betty Jean from Beauty Bean, like where we've been talking about doing a collab, doing like a palette bingo with some palettes that we have in common. And every time like we pan past the Jaclyn Hill palette, we're like, no, not that one. Too many neutral options. And it's not that I have anything against a neutral look. It's just, I like to have fun with makeup. If I'm going to do a fun look, I want it to be fun and I want to play with fun colors. So yeah, this, I keep it around because it's got some great neutrals, but it's just a friend. Yeah. So question number four is the one that got away. And off the top of my head, the first one that comes to mind for me is the Melt Gemini palette. And I know that technically it did come back, so I really could have gotten it if I wanted to. It's just when it came down to it, I really couldn't commit to spending the money for it. And it's not like I haven't forked over $50+ for a palette before. Hello, I just spent $65 on that Urban Decay one. But it was just something about it. I just couldn't do it. I don't know if it was just like where I was at that particular moment when it went on sale, and I was just like, no, I can't spend that money. And so I never got it. Part of me still kind of wants it, but Kaleidos Makeup, which is an indie brand, just released 3 of these really beautiful, like futuristic palettes, and one of them is a very gorgeous green kind of themed palette, and Amy Loves Makeup compared it to the Gemini palette, so you got some similar tones there. So I think that that is going to satisfy my need for the pretty grungy green palette, and it only cost me like 20 something dollars, plus you bundle them together and you got an even better discount. So I'm okay that that one got away. So question number 5 is the one that you're currently crushing on. So basically, like, you had your eye on it, you kind of like, I kind of want to check it out, you know, but you haven't done anything with it yet. And that's this guy, the Lime Crime Venus XL2. I have never bought any Lime Crime palettes, but for some reason, when they released the photos of this one, especially like this gorgeous color, I was so drawn to it. And a lot of people were not super happy with the color story, and I was kind of like about it when I saw it, but I was still strangely drawn to it. And, you know, I don't know what it was, but I just wanted it. And I loved this kind of like very muted, beautiful green color. And this, very similar to that Urban Decay palette, I will tell you straight up, is so much prettier in person. Like, I do not feel like it translates on camera how gorgeous some of these tones and like glittery, shimmery shades are, but I haven't touched it yet. So definitely been crushing on it for a while. I finally own it, but I still haven't touched it. So I promise I'll do a look with it soon. I think I kind of want to maybe try to do a couple of different looks, because I do think maybe I can show you guys that it's prettier than it seems. But yeah, definitely this is one that I've been crushing on, but I haven't done anything with it yet. So question number 6 is the one that broke your heart. Hello, Kylie Cosmetics. So this was the second Kylie palette I bought. I do have the Nice palette, and I actually do like that palette. I know not everybody does, but I actually like that palette. I think it's very pretty, and the shadows worked just fine for me. This, when it came out, I was torn, so I guess I'll show you because I don't remember which one this one is called, but this is basically the pastel one, and it had the row of pastel mattes and the row of pastel shimmers. And I loved that they had like a corresponding shimmer for the matte. I just thought it was really beautiful, because sometimes I am such a sucker for a very simple look. Like, what's on my eyes today is actually some of the shadows from the Collective Cosmetics spring line that I showed you guys. It's literally just this blue all over my lid and all underneath, and this color just tapped over the top. 2 shadows and I'm done. And I'm a sucker for a really beautiful look that's actually a lot simpler than it looks. So I thought this was gonna be so pretty. And the sad thing is, I chose to buy this over the Strobe Cosmetics Creepy Cute palette. And the first time I tried to use it or swatch it or touch it or anything, these shadows are so sheer, it's ridiculous. Now, some of these little shimmer shades down here are actually really pretty, but I just never reach for this palette because this top row is so completely disappointing. I mean, I think I used it in one look and I had to bring in some other shadows because it just wasn't giving me the impact that I wanted. So since then I have broken down and finally bought the Strobe Cosmetics Creepy Cute palette, but I'm like so disappointed that I wasted the money on this palette. And since this palette, I've not been interested in buying any other Kylie Cosmetics shadows since then because this was such a disappointment. So number 7 is the one you grew apart from, and that would be the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. This, at the time that I bought this, I hadn't really purchased a lot of like high-end mainstream palettes, and I consider this like higher end. I mean, I think it was like $50 or something. You know, it's a bit of a commitment. I don't necessarily mind paying that on an indie brand because I understand these are smaller businesses. Sometimes they're handmade. Like, you have to charge more, but some of the best palettes I own are indie palettes, so I don't mind. But this I forked over the money for, and I thought it was so beautiful and I thought I would get so much use out of it, and I just never ever reach for it. Like, every time I do reach for it, I end up kind of doing the same look, so I don't really ever go into some of these other ones. And there's really nothing wrong with any of the shadows. I don't even mind this little pressed glitter shade down here. I used that in a look and I actually really liked the way it came out. The shadows are fine. They work just fine. They blend just fine, but it just doesn't inspire me and I never want to use it. So yeah, we grew apart. Number 8 is the one you'd have a fling with but not actually date. So the way that it keeps getting explained is basically like a palette that you would love to just maybe like have, you know, for maybe a few days or a few weeks and then just give it back or give it away or something. So like you just have it for a little while. And for me, that would be the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I don't know what it is about that palette that kind of draws me in because I'm not the hugest fan of gold shadow. It's not that I dislike it, but I'm not that obsessed with gold shadow to want an entire palette devoted to gold shadows. But I don't know, it just catches my eye. I don't think I could ever commit to spending that kind of money on a palette though, but it'd be really fun to have and like use a couple times. So yeah, if I ever know anybody that owns that palette, they better let me borrow it. Number 9 is the one that you're in a love-hate relationship with. And I'm gonna cheat a little bit on this one too, because I'm not going to call out one palette, I'm gonna call out palettes in general. And that would be my Hot Topic palettes. I am in a love-hate relationship with these because they're all like hit and miss. It's like kissing a frog to find a prince, that kind of thing. You never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes they're decent. Sometimes, they're like decent drugstore quality palettes that I actually can use again and not, and it's not like a pain in the ass to use. But other times I'm having to like force the palette to work for me, and I don't mind doing that, but then that just means I'm probably not gonna pick it up very often. Like I might pick it up for a video, but I probably wouldn't pick it up just to do my makeup to go out. There have been some good ones, so I'll give a little honorable mention to some of my favorites, like their Mean Girls palette. I love the Mulan palette. I actually do like the Infinity War palette, even though it can be tricky. And then, of course, my absolute favorite is the Soraya J one. This one is actually a phenomenal palette. I know I've said it before. I will say it again just to reiterate here. This is nothing like Hot Topic quality. This is actually a really beautiful, decent quality palette. Gorgeous little colors, two-sided, tons of shadows. I love this palette. But yeah, so just the Hot Topic palettes in general, I have a love-hate relationship with because sometimes they are a pain in the ass to work with. Sometimes they don't work out very well, but luckily they're pretty cheap, so I don't mind if they don't work out. And like I said, it's just drugstore quality basically, so you kind of know that going into it, so you can't be too disappointed. And last but not least is the one you gave a second chance to. And that's actually another Hot Topic palette. That is the Hot Topic Beauty and the Beast palette. This was actually the very first Hot Topic palette I ever purchased. And the first time I ever tried to do a look with it, it went horribly wrong. And this actually was the palette that kind of taught me how to work with Hot Topic palettes and kind of like to give them a second chance and to try and maybe try different techniques to make a shadow work for me. Sometimes you can't always use certain shadows the way that you're used to. And I'm totally okay with that now. Like for example, some of my incredibly pigmented indie brand shades, you have to kind of be a little bit more delicate with. Make sure you have a tacky primer, maybe use smaller brushes. And I know that now because I've had that trial and error of, giving the shadows a chance and trying different techniques with them. That same thing goes for these Hot Topic palettes because the first time I used this palette, I tried to use it like any high-end palette, fluffy brushes, going all over the place, and it just didn't work. And then once I kind of was like, okay, well, how can I make this shadow work for me? I actually got a really beautiful look out of it. And so I've been able to kind of keep a palette around that I actually can use. Is it the best quality? Of course it's not, but it kind of taught me that I can make something work for me if I really try. So that's it for this tag video. This was definitely a fun little one. You guys know I like to show off my palettes, and this gives you a little insight into how I feel about some of these little palettes in my life. If you have a channel and you want to do this tag, then I tag you. Go ahead, do it. I would love to check out your video, so let me know in the comments below if you've done this tag and I'll go check it out. And I'll make sure that I link Paulina's and Katie's and Lauren's videos down below if you want to go check them out, which I do highly recommend that you do. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!